you had a good break. We are going to be not needing to introduce a speaker today because I'll be sharing some exciting things around scholarship and fellowship opportunities here at WSU for those who are interested in cybersecurity. And so we will go right to presentation, and because things didn't behave on my end the way I'd like them to, I'm going to rely on James in going for, moving ahead with the slides. You know how things work. So this should be material that most of you should find interesting and maybe something that you would want to share with friends as well. So if you have questions, keep them towards the end so we can have generous time and ask, or you could drop them in the chat while I speak, and we can address them in the end. Other than that, you would also make sure that you give some time towards the end with to give feedback on how this presentation has been for you. So I hope your semester is going well and you have had a good break. Let's get to the discussion now. So there are three things I want to do. James, you can go to the next slide. There are three things I want to accomplish today. The first one is something that we have had a little bit of an experience in at WSU now. We've been running a scholarship for service program that's called Cyber Scholarship for Service Program. And so a majority of my time will be spent talking about that, especially because we are taking in applications now for students to join in for. Then I will spend some time talking about another exciting opportunity, and this is the place where the fellowship part comes in. We have an NSF-funded program that would allow students to have a study and research abroad program in Sweden with a university called Linköping. So I'll tell you about that. That also is taking in applications now, and I know I've been getting emails, and I know there are some students that are interested in taking that opportunity, so you will get to hear about that. And finally, I will be talking about and spend a little bit of time talking about another scholarship for service program that is specific to the DoD, and I'll talk about that. That's called Cyber Service Academy. Okay, so there are three things to watch out for, and we will talk about them. Cyber Corps is a well-established and long program with the National Science Foundation. It has been in existence for 25 years now. Just so you know, in the future, there is an interest in seeing the intersection, the confluence between cybersecurity and AI. And so there is something that will come up in future years called Cyber AI. And if you're curious, we are pursuing something along those lines. So whatever I will be talking about now is the traditional Cyber Corps Scholarship for Service Program. And I will describe it first in the form in which it is known nationally, and then I'll come to specific things at WSU. So this is among the long-standing programs at the National Science Foundation, and it is managed in collaboration with the Office of Personnel Management, OPM, and in addition to the National Science Foundation, which awards the grant to universities, the CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, is heavily involved. And there were a number of relevant acts that came. The whole idea behind this is we badly need cybersecurity professionals in the US. The gap between what we are training and what the demand is big. And the best way to get that, or one of the good ways to get that, is for creating a program that has got a service component to it, in the sense of working for the government, and I will explain that in a moment, but a way to invest for the country, to invest for the nation, to invest in training professionals in cybersecurity. That's the idea, and there were a number of relevant acts that made it happen, including as recently as 2022 through the CHIPS Act. That's some of the relevant facts there. Let's go forward, James, to the next slide. And so it has a few general statements about it. The whole idea behind SFS, Cyber Corps SFS, is for students while they are in college to receive full scholarship. By full mean, I will spell them out in a second, is full in the sense of paying tuition and getting additional stipend for having the chance to focus entirely on one's study up to a period of 3 years. 2 years for undergraduates and up to 3 years for graduate students, or if somebody transitions from undergrad to grad, it goes up to 3 years, but not more, is the idea. And in return of receiving the scholarship, including paying full tuition, the student receiving the scholar would work for the government, is the idea. And by government here, it could be federal, it could be state, it could be local, it could be tribal. And the range is wide, and some of the places you might have known as government is there, but also there are things that we probably don't even think of them as government. So you don't go for private company in the industry is the idea, and you work for the government. That's the service part. You get this scholarship for up to 3 years, and you work for the government for a period equal to the number of years you got scholarships for. I think that is probably enough to say about this slide. The goals clearly build what we need to have in terms of professionals to enhance the security of critical information infrastructure. And these terms were like the way things were expressed early on. And so this can get expanded. What is critical information infrastructure? The way we used to think about it 20 years ago is not the same thing as now, but the words are, I think, good enough to keep using them. Increase national capacity of educated IT specialists or cyber professionals in cybersecurity disciplines, produce new people to come into the cybersecurity workforce within government. That's another goal. And also like institutions who are funded to do something like this, like WSU is now, or the professionals who are trained would have capabilities that are also about research and development. So to build that capability in cybersecurity is another goal, and then increase the partnership between institutions of higher level, that's universities and colleges, and the people who would hire them later on. That's good. We can go to the next slide. All right. I did give you a little bit of, walkthrough around the history of it and why it is set up. Benefits. This is what does one get when selected as an SFS scholar. Tuition paid by the program, that's one piece, 2 years or 3 years. Stipend of $27,000 per year for undergraduate students. If they're graduate students, the amount would be $37,000. And this is on top of the tuition, and it would go very far. This idea behind it, if you haven't seen a sum like this in your studies so far, is relatively big. And the idea is for someone to fully focus on their studies and engage in programs that the SFS program in their school has, so that they don't have to work part-time, for example, right? It's a generous amount. And then there is a professional allowance of up to $6,000. And this is used, among other things, to travel to a job fair that the program has centrally. And this typically happens in DC when things are open and travel is not constrained or anything like that. And there is also in January, that's when it happens normally. And then there is also one season where there is a virtual one to cover there, or to go to conferences or other things. Could be used that professional allowance of up to $6,000 for the period the scholar is involved in. And then they will access to SFS specific job fairs. And in this job fair, relevant government agencies would come, and that's both for internships and jobs. These are the benefits. We can go to the next slide. What about the commitment? I will break this up into two. What commitment does a student have when they are studying before they graduate? One, maintain full-time enrollment. You cannot be an SFS scholar and be a part-time student. Maintain good academic standing. You probably would have guessed, and so this application process you go through, and we do a very thorough job trying to make sure that we get the best candidates who have understood what the commitments are as well, and have got the right motivations for being in the program. And being selected is an achievement on its own, but you maintain good academic standing. That's another thing. Respond to requests from the SFS program office. That's not just WSU here locally, but the central SFS program, including the Office of Personnel Management. And this could mean be about surveys, questions regarding program participation, whether One is maintaining their profiles the right way, whether they have applied and things like that. So that's a responsibility, a commitment before graduating. Completing at least one internship within government before one graduates. So that's a requirement. That's an explicit and required part to be able to continue in the program and to be able to qualify for all of it. Otherwise, it will be a big problem. How do you secure an internship? That's a big thing. So there is initiative the students do. We do, for example, mentor students, encourage to apply and have them the right kind of support in order to be able to apply. But OPM also does a good job securing these job fairs and other mechanisms in which scholars will be exposed to relevant government entities to get these internships. So they look out for interns, and the candidates would also have to be active and good at promoting what they are doing and be visible to them. And so completing at least one internship is a requirement. Participate in experiential learning opportunities that the program at their university does. For example, here at WSU, and they take different forms. It could be research, it could be some other engagement in activities, it could be competitions. All of those things are experiential learning opportunities, and we've created quite a few of them. To participate is a requirement, and begin searching for employment to meet the post-graduation service requirement. This is a nice place to transition, James, to the next slide. After one graduates, one has to work in government. And when do you do that? You don't wait until you finish and then start looking for jobs. That would be a little too late. And so while the scholar is in their studies, they would look for applying for positions. After graduating, full-time employment in an approved agency. And so it's not enough to just go work anywhere. It should be an approved agency with the right kind of cyber professional type of job in which the scholar has been trained in for a period that's equal to the scholarship amount. So if it was for 2 years, then they will have to work for 3 years. If it was for 3 years, they will have to work for 3 years. It's not enough to work for 1 year, for example. But if they like government and they want to continue, which I know very many people that have gone through that program and never left, that's also fine. But that's the requirement. Provide documentation to the SFS program and OPM about verification of employment, and we do this annually for the period. Ensure contact information and profile that one creates. The OPM has got a website where scholars would create their profiles and maintain some documents, and we make sure that that contact information is up to date. And complete periodic surveys as requested by the program to track, for example, where people are working, whether they have made their commitments, how much the program is doing. I just told you in the beginning, this was created some 25 years ago, and it never went, there was no year where it was not run, except for 2025, which was a little special. Otherwise, it's a successful program, and success in that program is measured by how many people got trained and get placed. And so they need to track this information, and they have a very, very good track record, and that's why we get selected in who gets admitted. For all of these things to happen, there should be some surveys that OPM needs to conduct, and complying with that and being responsive is a requirement after graduating, and responding to requests from WSU or SFS program concerning the program for evaluation and other purposes about your status is a requirement. We can go to the next slide, James. You might have wondered what sort of places would SFS scholars go work. Here's some examples. Federal executive agency, maybe that didn't come right to your mind in the first place. Congress, interstate agency, and anything that has to do with state, local, tribal government. So state is fine. So if you work for the work, so state of Washington and some of the departments there and so on, any one of those, it's fine. And there's almost no department that doesn't have a need for cybersecurity. So the spectrum is actually quite wide. And then, of course, the tribal included. And over time, SFS has relaxed some of these requirements, and there are a few select non-profit, government-affiliated things that are called 101, if you care. Whatever that number you see is of the USA Patriotic Act, they also qualify. You can go to the next slide. So there is a lot of choices. Who does qualify to be an SFS scholar? This is nationally, not just at WSU. This is open only for US citizens or permanent residents, lawful permanent residents. And in addition, a student must be a full-time student. If they are undergraduate, they should be within 2 years of completing their bachelor's. So that means by the time they are SFS scholars, they should be juniors, rising juniors. And so if you are a sophomore now, you are a perfect candidate to apply. If they are graduate students, then up to 3 years before completion. In some cases, if you are junior and did this and you had some mechanism in which you can get a master's degree in 1 year, that means 2+1, that also works. And there are some students at WSU for whom this might work. And then doctoral students are welcome also to apply. And as long as they are just youth and permanent residents, and they have 3 years into which they can be supported on. Students must also need to meet any other university-specific eligibility requirements, and I'll talk a little bit about what we require at WSU, and meet the criteria for federal employment. Sometimes it may require security clearance. This is something that OPM helps with in collaboration with the agencies that are interested in a particular candidate. So you should be eligible to do that, and you know what obtaining a security clearance would mean. So these are eligibility requirements. We can go to the next slide, James. Okay, now it comes to WSU. Everything that I have been telling you now is whichever school it is in the country, what an SFS program looks like, what the eligibility requirements, the benefits, and so on are. And so, for example, we don't wake up at WSU and decide how much the stipend should be, or things like that. But there are certain specific things about our program. So first, this is our second year now. We got funded in 2025, so we have a first cohort of students that are being trained now. Actually, we've got 3 undergraduate and 1 graduate student. And the way we planned when we got funded was to have this as an initial number, and then the other years, cohort 2, which we are aiming for now, to have more, 6 students and undergrads and 2 grads. And so we are looking for about 8 students to be added now in this new year. And in the 5-year period of this program, we hope to train around 20 undergraduate and 6 graduate students over the course of the 5 period. That's our goal. And then it's a lot of things around academic and then experience for SFS scholars through research, through career mentoring, through experiential learning, and internship opportunities that they get. And we have open application now for fall 2026 entry with already some applications there. If you're interested, make sure to pay attention to this priority deadline from today, March 31st, and you go to that place that I have indicated there to apply. And you'll find out what documents you will need when you apply. Make sure that you have followed me along, see the commitments and so on before you go apply there. Eligibility requirements that are specific about WSU. Let me tell you that. First, just like any other SFS scholar or program, this is open for US citizens and lawful permanent residents. For undergraduate students, background matters, what degree you are pursuing, and general academic standing. Being full-time student at WSU is a requirement. Sometimes I get emails that say, I am not at WSU. Can I apply for this? No, you first need to be admitted. You should be a WSU student, and you need to be a full-time student and have an overall GPA of 3.0 or above to be even considered, right? That's the beginning. If you're an undergraduate student, if you are pursuing PS in cybersecurity, you're all good to go. But that's not the only option you have. You could be a computer science, computer engineering, or software engineering major, but you are pursuing the coursework requirements of the CyberSec fundamental certificate. I'll come in a second to a slide that would spell that out for you, but most of you here are cyber students, so you know, you are already there. And so that coursework requirement would satisfy the requirement for SFS the way NSF requires it, and therefore you've got this. So either of these majors would be fine. If you are a graduate student, and then master's or PhD is fine, and the degree could be computer science, software engineering, or electrical engineering, with the research focus being in cybersecurity. And then there is a requirement for taking at least 4 cybersecurity courses, and those courses need to be either at the 400 level or at the 500 level, and with plenty of courses to 400 levels in cybersecurity. These are the WSU specific requirements. That means who can be an SFS scholar is what this slide is answering. And of course, the scholar must be willing to commit to work in government, federal, state, or local, or tribal after graduation. That's a requirement. That's an implied one coming from the bigger SFS requirement. Let's go to the next slide, James. At WSU, our SFS program has got multiple areas covered, and all of them are exciting areas. And we've got myself and 3 co-PIs, and James Crabb is the program coordinator for this. So the areas we cover, and this is expressed in terms of what sort of research you may do, what kind of mentoring you can get, and it's also reflected in some of the courses that we offer. But this is mainly about research areas. And so AI and security is a primary area. Cyber physical systems security is a major area. Crypto and the area. And I don't know. Okay, there we go. Now it has come back. Software, supply chain security, hardware security, and web security. These 6 areas are our signature areas or areas of priority for the SFS program. I would even say, in general, the cybersecurity program at WSU, at the ECSU. Let's go to the next slide, James. All right. I think what I'm going to be doing now is kind of transition into other things, and I'm not yet there for one of these other programs that I told you is relevant. My second agenda, I'm not there yet, but I wanted to use this chance also to speak about what led us into the SFS program and maybe point out a couple of things about Viceroy itself, the Viceroy Cyber program, and a little bit about our degree programs. And I'll be a little bit fast here because I'm preaching to the choir. You know what Viceroy Cyber is, and so most of you at least, but there will be others who may need it. And so our foundations are the 2 things there, Viceroy and the new degree program, but there's also, broadly speaking, a lot of interest in cybersecurity and support institutionally at the school level, ECS, at the college level, DCA, and WSU in general, and that's what I'm trying to speak to in this slide. Let's go to the next slide, James. CySR, Viceroy CySR doesn't need any introduction. This is something you've seen many times so far. You also know about the partner institutions. I know some of you might be in Montana State or University of Idaho or Central now when you're attending. What I'm speaking about is the program, SFS at WSU only. So I'm sorry, but that's not like going to be something that you would qualify for, but the information you hear here would be of interest to you. Let's go to the next slide. Within CySR, this is important, and so we've got 2 certificates. I know about half of you now attending, or even in general about the CySR students. We have the vast majority would be in ECS, they would be computer science or cybersecurity majors for the most part, and they are pursuing the CySR CAECO fundamental certificate. And then there are students at MIS and other engineering programs, for example, that are not pursuing that because the coursework for it is not something that would suit into the program, but they pursue CySR basics. So we've got these 2 fundamental certificates. So the SFS program, I told you, because of the number of cybersecurity courses to be satisfied, is specifically about the fundamental certificate. Otherwise, we do have these 2 certificates within Viceroy. And I'm going to spell out what the complete requirements are for the CySR CAECO fundamental certificate in the next slide. So James, if you take me there. And what I want to show you is the coursework requirement part of it is what an SFS scholar would be required to have. And that's exactly maps to how many courses are needed. If you are a cybersecurity major, you automatically qualify that, so that doesn't even be a factor when you look at this fundamental certificate, if you were to pursue it. The rest of them are about internship, participation in mentored research, and so on, that are very much in line with SFS scholars, what we expect of them to do and what the WSU specific requirements are. And so the moment you are a Viceroy scholar, you would meet many of the things that we do within SFS. For this reason, we will make students that are not in Viceroy who get recruited into the SFS program. If the application pool comes, then we would encourage them to apply to be Viceroy scholars as well. And so the current students we have are all Viceroy scholars at the same time. So he was a little bit of spelling out of what the fundamental certificate looks like. You can go to the next slide, James. Okay, here is going to be a quick one. I am not there yet in my second agenda item, if you're paying attention, right? We're talking about still the SFS program, but we kind of did touch on two related things, the Viceroy program at WSU CISR, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about the BS in cybersecurity. There are some who are in this major, in this audience now, and there are some who may want to know more. This is a major that stands on its own. It's an independent degree program, very much focused on having the first couple of years with heavy emphasis on cyber and computer science courses, and then the last 2 years where the cyber courses would come in. And there's a lot of emphasis on experiential learning and hands-on coursework while you study, while you take the courses. And it is just like many other BS programs, 120 credits. We would like them to be finished in 4 years, and we have managed a way to get all the wishful things around cybersecurity covered, plus all of the things that are needed in a Bachelor of Science degree also covered, and some distribution of how these courses are is what you see. We've got 74 credits of computer science and cyber, 16 credits of math and stat, and 30 credits of general things. Let's go to the next slide, James. Okay, one very, very, very busy slide. If I were going to just pull out all the cybersecurity courses in that major, and remember, these are all concentrated in the last 2 years. So the first 2 years will be mostly computer science courses, which you share with your computer science or software engineering students very much, almost identical. They look like this. There are 11 of them. 7 of them are required. 7 3-credit courses, that's 21. And then 4 of them are electives. You can see their names are long because we have different knowledge units that would be needed to be satisfied for the Center of Academic Excellence in Cyber Operations, which is what we would like WSU to be. And so we have designed these courses so that those knowledge units are covered. And one maybe difference with the computer science degree program is the capstone for it is not a sequence of 2 semesters, like the senior design course sequence in computer science, but a single semester. And that has worked out fine. And one of the reasons for it is because we want to keep it to 150 credits. And there was no room for having a sequence. Plus, the industry people told us it's actually more realistic and there are some advantages to having it in a single semester. So that's how we do it. There's 1 semester capstone project course, and then the rest of them, you see their names. Among the electives, I want to tell you, last CISR seminar was given by Dr. Sherry Conklin, who spoke about a little bit about the course that I and her co-taught last fall on cyber law, ethics, rights and policies. That's a long name. And so that course is going to continue to be offered. It's going to be a spring course going forward. And so the next time it will be offered is going to be spring 2027. I had a lot of fun co-teaching that course and a lot of ethics to learn, and cybersecurity, AI, and policy. This intersection has a lot of room for a course like that. It was fun. It was attended by 25 students or so. I've got 4 of them, I think, were graduate students. So we had a lot of fun. It was a good course. The next time it will be offered would be in spring 2027. This coming fall, we would have 1 of these electives offered for the first time, security analytics and DevSecOps. The rest of them have been offered multiple times before, and some of you are already maybe thinking of signing up for those courses that will come in the fall. Let's go to the next slide, please. Wonderful. Now I'm ready for my second agenda item. In 2025, we had 2 fantastic things happen at WSU. One of them is that we got designated as a Center of Academic Excellence in Cyber Research by the National Security Agency. And this is a designation that's good for the next 5 years. And as a result of this, it actually has got a little bit of a connection with the last thing I would mention today. So we're proud to be there, and this is a great good news for us. The other thing is the subject of my second agenda item. We have also been awarded by NSF to start an international research experience for students program to do study and research abroad with the Linköping University in Sweden. There is a memorandum of agreement that Linköping University, it's also called LIU, has with WSU to allow students to go from here to there and study there without paying tuition there, and vice versa. But in addition to just the study, which makes it different from a study abroad program, they also do research, and they would do research with some of the best cybersecurity, faculty, and they've got a lot of resources there. And so we got this. This is going to be going for 3 years. This was our first year now running it, and we'll have 2 more. And the first cohort of students went to Sweden just a couple months ago in January when the semester here started. It's not a couple, it's a little more than a couple months now. But they're spending their their spring semester there. Here you see the 4 students. It happens that they were all cybersecurity students. And that application is also open now. I lead this effort. We've got 2 co-PIs, one in the Tri-Cities campus, Mohammed and Mahalawi, and one in the Everett campus, Professor Laplin there, and Joseph Yanli is one who has had a long-term relationship with Linköping University and have other IRIS programs outside of this cybersecurity and AI. So we're excited about this program, and let me tell you a little bit more in the next slide about how you can apply. So I've got a very busy slide. This is actually a slide that you might have seen around, going around the campus. We've got some of these big screens. This was the best I could do. I didn't want to use more than 1 slide, so I have tiny fonts for you to see, but it has got everything you need. What do you need to know? If you are a student interested in cybersecurity and AI, or one of them, and you have at least 1 semester left, and so you can't be a senior and apply for this. But if you have less than that, you've got at least 1 semester left, then you can apply for this and be evaluated to be sent to Linköping University. The program is run during the springs, and so we're taking in applications now, and so you could apply all the way until May, but don't wait that long, and then we evaluate. But because it is also a study abroad program, there is a separate thing that the international programs at WSU does. We put the same deadline, you apply there in both places. The fellowship portion of it, which is coming through the NSF award, will be competitive, and so we see students. We would select about the goal is to have roughly about 7 students every year for 3 years, and so we've sent 4 so far. And that means we can send a little bit more this year, 9, for example. Will be a good goal to have. And so you apply, and if you are selected, then you would go to Sweden for a semester, take classes there in English, and the credits would transfer back to WSU. One of the goals with the program is for you not to have to extend your time to graduation. And so the classes you take there would be transferred back. And in most cases, they would transfer back to things that are in the program of study. So if you take cybersecurity classes there, they would map to some cybersecurity classes, or maybe some computer science classes, and so on. And regardless of whether there is a transfer to a course in your program of study, the credits will transfer anyway. And so we had 4 students who went there. You saw a picture of them in the previous slide. And there was some time that we took to know what classes to take, how to optimize that, how to make sure that it doesn't actually incur in their graduation time extended or anything like that. It has worked out fine. And you get $12,000 to cover your expenses while you're in Sweden. The travel will be covered, and a lot of support in terms of getting advices from advisor ourselves and the people at LIU, the international program there, and the research faculty who host the students there are doing an awesome job. We've had a couple Zoom calls with the students after they have left to Sweden. They were accompanied by Professor Yaneli when they went to Linköping in January, and so they had a lot of fun. But they also are telling us that there is a lot of things that they're learning besides taking classes and doing research in general about the culture and everything else there. So excellent opportunity. We have more applicants than we could take in, but you shouldn't, that shouldn't hinder you. One of the challenges we have is, do you have enough cybersecurity and AI classes taken? Don't be too worried about that. If you are a rising junior for next year and you are a sophomore now, you're good. You should apply, even if you haven't taken cybersecurity classes yet. Or if you are a bit more than that, then that would be great. If you are a junior, that would actually be perfect. What we require is that you have at least one semester left by the spring you go. So if you go there in spring and you're graduating the next fall, you're good. And if it is more than that, that's wonderful. But you can't be in your graduating semester and go. And the reason for it is because we would like to have students come from Linköping to WSU and kind of continue with the collaboration for a full year in some sense. Okay, that's the second agenda item. The third one is going pretty fast. So thank you for your patience with me. This is another cybersecurity or scholarship for service program, just like the SFS is, or the Cybercorps SFS is. This one is specific to the Department of Defense. And this one is different in the sense that there is an initiation that has to happen from the student side. So you apply in a way. And if this is a qualified student, like the institution where you are studying, like WSU is, because of its standing as Center of Academic Excellence in Cyber Research, then the university would write its own proposal in a way to say, we have selected these students, we have this way to kind of support them in their studies, this is where the program they belong to, and then the award would come to the university and the student would be supported with the scholarship pay, very similar to the Cybercorps one. This would be the first time we would do. And so the application for a fall 2026 entrance is now closed, but I want to talk about this one so that you can plan for what you may want to do in 2027. And so because it is student initiated, we would have to have a pool of students for us to be able to go to DoD, this CSA program, to put together a proposal to say, we have identified the students and here is how much it would cost to go at WSU and how much stipend they would need and things like that. So be aware of this. And as we learn more and as we get our first scholars going through this program, then we'll have more things to share. But for now, I think this is all I have. And there is a link to their website. I made it with 10 minutes to go. So let me see if you have questions. James, thank you so much for running through the slides. For me, you were good. Questions?
Hello. Oh, so
Sure.
I was curious about that Sweden program. I remember you
Yeah.
had mentioned it before, and I don't have very many. I'm not very far in the computer science yet,
Yeah.
but I am interested in that. I'm still in 122 right now, so do you think that I should probably just wait until next year, and then once I've got, at least like a medium amount of
Yeah.
courses done?
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan, for that question. We did run into something that's very similar to yours, who someone who actually started somewhere else and had a lot of courses, um, uh, and in other things than computer science, but the classes he has taken in computer science were more like 122 and earlier at the time he applied. And because of the credits he had, I was really kind of open to having being accepted, but LIU said, no, they are not ready. So the level of computer science classes they've taken is not enough, even if they had, a lot of courses taken already. So the best thing to do for you, Ryan, would be to wait until you have 200 level classes taken. And I think the best time to go is when you're junior. And so it sounds like you're a freshman now. Is that right?
I'm a sophomore technically, but it's my first year in computer science. I had
Yeah,
transferred.
yeah. So your junior year is the best thing to do because you would benefit more out of the program, and you would part of the goal there is to do research, and so you would not be that prepared to um, to do well in research there. So um, wait till next year. There's something you can do, Ryan. In the meantime, you make sure that you do well in your classes and find a way to have things to make you stand out. That way, you are not just waiting, but you are preparing yourself for the time when you apply.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Great. Was there anything in the chat, James, that I wanted to see?
Not that I see. Nope.
Okay. Can't graduate in Sweden. Yeah, so if you've got just one semester left and that spring is where you want to go to Sweden, that will not be okay. We would like you to go earlier. So please graduate in Goldman or Tri-Cities or Everett, not in Sweden. Other questions? Felix, you go ahead, apply. I remember seeing an email from you. And so I would encourage you to go ahead, apply. And thinking of Felix Pisanto, okay? So you can go ahead and type your questions on chat. We still have a few minutes, so we have to take more questions. Or you can unmute yourself and just ask. I'm waiting if there is anybody else got a question. All right, if you don't have questions, then I think I would assume that this was clear. I look forward to seeing some of you applying, or you can tell your friends to apply. And if you have questions around any one of these three things that I talked about today, feel free to reach out.